Hello, my name is Sheryl Shaffer, and it's an honor for me to introduce my next guest, Paula J. Caplan. Hi, Paula.
Hi, it's an honor to be back with you.
Thank you. Paula, you wrote this wonderful book a while back called When Johnny and Jane Come Marching Home, and this is your big project that you want to talk about. So let's tell the audience what that is all about.
The project grew out of the subtitle of the book, which is How All of Us Can Help Veterans, because I became very concerned about the fact that in this country, people are now starting to recognize veterans are the other 1%, but not the elite 1%, the ignored 1%, really. And I was very alarmed by the disconnection between veterans and non-veterans in the United States. And I've been collaborating a lot with retired Colonel David Sutherland from the Army, who calls it an epidemic of disconnection. And I wanted to do something to reduce the horrible isolation in which so many veterans live. Veterans from all our wars, really.
That's true.
Right. And I also thought we live in a war illiterate country. Whatever your politics in general, whatever you think about war in general or a particular war, the fact is that our government sends some of us to war, and the majority of us never have to even know what that's like. That's not right. It's our civic responsibility. Every single non-veteran in this country needs to know what it really means to go to war and then try to come home. And so the project that grew out of this is called the Welcome Johnny and Jane Home Project. And it's very simple and it doesn't cost anything. It just consists of one non-veteran, not a therapist, one non-veteran gets in a room with a veteran from any war or any era and just listens to whatever the veteran wants to say. You listen with 100% of your attention and with your whole heart, because what you're doing is bearing witness. A lot of vets have talked about feeling like they're carrying around a rucksack full of heavy rocks, heavy boulders, and that when somebody listens to them, somebody from the wider community, it's wonderful when vets talk to other vets, but they shouldn't have to feel like I can only ever talk to another vet.
True.
Right? And the community has the responsibility to say, we want to hear, we want to understand, we want to know, and we want to share that burden that you're carrying around. Here's your one and only goal. It's to provide the veteran with the time and space to say whatever they choose to say. War is hard, war is awful, and so they have war trauma. That's something anybody can understand. It's a human reaction. It's not a mental illness. So the two sentences that the listeners speak, and both of these sentences were crafted after I had listened to veterans for many years, and was really advised by them. The first sentence is, and every bit of the sentence matters, the first sentence is, as an American whose government sent you to war, I take some responsibility for what you experienced there and how it's been for you trying to come home. And if you want to talk, I will listen for as long as you wish to speak, and I will not judge. The second sentence is, and this I tell the listeners to do well into the interview, and you have to wait until the veteran has told you something awful they went through and how it affects them now. And then you say, and again, we say this sentence because veterans have told us how important it is for them to hear it. We say, if I had been through what you've described going through, I'm sure that like you, I would be having flashbacks or insomnia or whatever it is. And I hope you know that's a deeply human reaction. It's not a mental illness. You're not crazy. So the non-veteran listener comes to understand that the veteran who's speaking has confronted matters of life and death and moral anguish in ways that most of the rest of us have never had to. So as the non-veteran listens to the veteran, they learn about the veteran, and they come to respect the veteran and really appreciate what they've been through. They also learn more about their own humanity and about humanity in general. I've come to think of the veterans who do these sessions as the forward observers for the rest of us, the forward observers to life and to what humanity is and to what meaning really is, and what we can find or what meaning we can make. So it's been really remarkable to see how many non-veterans went into it to do sort of a good deed for somebody else. And they say, my life was transformed. And you know what's interesting, I'm sure you've heard this too, a lot of vets say, well, why would I talk to somebody who's not a vet? They'll never understand. They weren't there. And I want to say, you know what? We're all human, and so there are certain respects, of course, in which I won't fully understand, but you've gone through other things, not a war, that I haven't gone through, and vice versa. And does that mean that unless we were in the same place at the same time and had the same experiences, we can't ever talk to each other?
Well, there's so much noise in our society. Cell phone technology, horns blaring, traffic. There's so much noise that sometimes I think people just become overwhelmed with it. But the act of listening is the key to everything.
Yes.
Because you have to be able to relate to them.
Yes, you're so right. But because people were skeptical, here's what we did. I'm a psychologist and I have a PhD, so that's a research degree. So I thought, okay, so we'll do a little study. So what we did, this was at Harvard Kennedy School, we found vets from every war beginning with World War II. The oldest vet was then 93. He was an African-American veteran who served in the Battle of the Bulge with my late father. And so we had vets right through every war till the present wars. And they did listening sessions with non-veterans who were not trained. They had just heard what I've told you. That was all. And right after the listening session, and then a month later, we asked the veterans, what, if anything, was good about this for you, and what, if anything, was bad or uncomfortable? Well, everyone said it was so positive. And it doesn't fix everything, and we don't claim that it does, but everyone said something like, nobody had ever given me a chance to do this before. I couldn't believe somebody was really just going to listen. I remembered things that I hadn't remembered in a long time. It was good to be able to talk about. I made connections between things that I hadn't ever made before. And often they would say, that night I slept for the first time since I got back. And I finally realized it's because even when I'm there with a veteran whose politics are at the opposite pole from mine, whose attitudes toward their war are different from mine, it doesn't matter. The integrity of their intentions and the reasons for their decisions to join, or if they were drafted, what they had in their minds and hearts when they were drafted, and the honesty with which they speak is so moving. So it's been really wonderful to see how this is starting to spring up all across the country.
Very good. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
For everything
Thanks for
you
all
do
you
for
do. Thank you.